Now let us learn how do metals react with solutions of other metal salts. For learning this, we need to understand an activity. We will learn activity 3.12, which is given in your textbook. For performing this activity, you will need a clean wire of copper. Also, you will need an iron nail. You will need 2 test tubes. Now what to do? We have to put the copper wire in a solution of iron sulfate and the iron nail in a solution of copper sulfate. So we have 2 test tubes. In one test tube we will fill copper sulfate solution, which is blue in color. In another test tube we have to take iron sulfate solution and we have to put a copper wire into it. Then we have to record observations after 20 minutes. What will we observe? After 20 minutes, we will observe that copper sulfate solution, which was blue in color, will become green in color. Also, the iron nail will get brownish coating on it. We have learned similar example when we were learning displacement reaction in chapter number 1. Here also there is a displacement reaction taken place. That is why copper sulfate solution becomes green, whereas iron nail becomes brown in color. It will get coating of brown color. What can we say from this activity? We can say that reactive metals can displace less reactive metals from their compounds in solution or in molten form. We have seen in chapter number 1 that all metals are not equally reactive. So we can form a general equation for reaction between metals and other metal salts. It can be written as metal A plus solution of B gives salt solution of A plus metal B. For this activity, we can write a chemical reaction as Fe, that is iron, plus CuSO4, that is copper sulfate, gives FeSO4, that is iron sulfate, plus Cu, that is copper. And about this displacement reaction, we have already studied in chapter number 1 that most reactive metal displaces less reactive metal. So in this case of iron and copper, which is the more reactive metal? Can you answer it? It is iron. Why? Because you can see that iron plus copper sulfate. So iron has displaces copper from its solution and it became iron sulfate. So iron is more reactive. If we talk about the second test tube in which we have taken iron sulfate solution and copper wire. So between these two there is no reaction. So we can write it as FeSO4 iron sulfate plus Cu copper. That gives no reaction. Why? Because copper is less reactive than iron. That is why there will be no reaction. So this is all about how do metals react with solutions of other metal salts. Now let us learn about the reactivity series. Before we learn about reactivity series, recall what is reactivity of metals. Reactivity of metals is the ability of metals to react with other substances. So easy. Remember this. Now learn the reactivity series. It is a list of metals arranged in the order of their decreasing activities. Now this is a series in decreasing order. And you need to remember that if a metal which is more reactive than the other will displaces that metal from its compound. Now let us see the reactivity series first. Keep it in mind that it is a series in decreasing order. Most reactive metal is potassium, sodium, then calcium. These all are in decreasing order. Magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver and gold. So you can see that most reactive metals are potassium, sodium, calcium, whereas least reactive metals are gold and silver. We have already seen that gold and silver are less reactive. So this is a decreasing order of reactivity of metals. Now you see we have learned activity 3.12 where we got an equation for Fe plus CuSO4 which gives FeSO4 plus Cu. Now you see Fe which is iron and Cu is copper. From this two, which is more reactive? It is iron. That is why iron will replace copper. Okay, but if we have reaction between copper and iron sulfate, copper plus iron sulfate, will copper displaces iron from its salt? No, because FeSO4 that is a salt of iron, right? And copper is less reactive than iron. That is why there will be no reaction, which means copper will not displaces iron from its salt solution. If we have zinc and copper sulfate solution, will there be displacement reaction taken place? Yes. In the reactive series, you can see zinc is more reactive than copper. So zinc will displaces copper from its copper sulfate solution. Let us take another example. Lead, that is Pb, plus copper chloride. Will there be displacement reaction taken place? Of course, yes, because you can see in the series that lead is more reactive than copper. So what will happen? Lead will displaces copper from its copper chloride solution. Okay, so this way you will remember when the metal is more reactive than the other metal, then only displacement reaction will be taken place. So here you will remember that reactivity of metals is the ability of metals to react with other substances. Reactivity series is list of metals which are arranged in which order? In decreasing order. And this will be helpful for displacement experiments. So this is all about the reactivity series.